before the trip, some of the things.
And
Um,
could I ask a brief question? Like, what did you think of your art at this point, and how were you trying to do art at this point, and what did you think of yourself at this point? What was going on there?
the art, I was doing the art because this was one thing I was kind of good at, and that was basically the whole reason. I think some of the themes you can find here are also found in later points, and what you just noticed or noted, the point about suicide being a radical form of transformation, maybe, or self transcendence.
Hmm.
And this was a theme that I've also found already here. You can see like the butterfly,
Mm.
a new
Oh
being
yeah.
emerging out of the old one, and that was actually my kind of thinking pattern at the time. I didn't know I was unhappy at this point in time. Um, and I've had this idea about transformation and stuff, but I never really applied them to myself. And so the thought about suicide probably was a natural extension of that.
So that's really interesting. So that's actually, so am I getting this correct? You sort of were a little bit fascinated about the idea of transformation, and we'll say the butterfly in your art, but you never actually applied that idea to yourself.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
So you would like kind of get into just get into drawing a butterfly or something like this, but you never think to yourself, I should transform. There's something wrong with me. That's really interesting. Holy shit.
Yeah. So this was before the trip, and basically the main point is maybe that the art felt kind of empty. So I did it because I tried to do something which was kind of cool, but nothing more. There wasn't really a lot of feelings in there. And then this thing happened, which was so the trip was, we took some substances. Hawaiian baby wood rose seeds was the one, the specific one, and at the time the trip went for like 8 hours, and I couldn't do anything else but draw this thing, which is totally messy. But I couldn't think about anything else at the time. So I actually had to remind myself every few hours to go drink something or take a piss, because my brain was totally focused on the thing. And I felt like I was actually communicating with it. I talked in
Oh shit.
a language that I didn't know. And it felt like this was communicating with me. Um,
What was the wait? What was the language that you didn't know? Was it like Dutch or something? What was going on? Or
No, no, no,
French?
no, no, no,
God
no.
knows.
It wasn't. It wasn't any real language. It was just me making strange sounds,
Wow.
and yeah, feeling like it kind of correlated with the painting or the drawing.
Oh, yeah, that's quite interesting. That's most certainly interesting. Like I wonder, this is where things get a little bit kind of like eerie and whatnot. Like I wonder, is that you're digging down into maybe a really dense, hard repressed emotion or something like that, and you're actually confronting it for the first time, and you're sort of like on a very primal level, like talking to yourself and saying, this is what I feel, this is what I am, and all these type of things. Like there could be that side of it, and then on the other hand, you're kind of wondering, it's like, am I sort of tuning into a certain dimension or something like that? These things are interesting and confusing, especially with the introduction of chemicals as well. So we'll leave that to the boyos to decide, and let's keep on ripping into it and show us how this progressed.
Yeah. So and after the trip, that was actually the point. The next day, I've had a little bit of a psych breakdown. Um, which I felt totally devastated. I cried for hours at a time. Um, and that was actually the first time where I kind of noticed how unhappy I was with my life. Um, which also was the point where I started to change something. So
Mhm.
this is basically the one most important changing point I've had so far in my life. And the trip kind of triggered something with my creativity. So it flipped the switch. And you can see here all this detail. Or it's not really details, but this messiness, this randomness, kind of, or not controlled drawing, um, is a pattern that yeah, stayed with me from that time on. Um, So, and after that trip, a lot of other paintings and drawings started. This is something that actually also took place during a trip. I took LSD at that time and painted this thing. So also without any thought going into it, it just emerged. The painting emerged on the canvas.
And so what like another thing that we're gonna start talking about, I'm sure, is colors. So what is kind of interesting is the colors you use are sort of drab purplish grays, and then a really strong, almost like passionate blood red or something like that. And what, like, for example, when you told me this, you didn't show me the painting of the trip, and I actually imagined it to be dark black. I was just going for the cliche in my mind. I was like, oh, this will be a dark painting, but it actually was red, which kind of confused me a bit. And so I was wondering what you think about that. Like, why red? What was going on with the red? What's all this redness, man? Like, what's going on here?
That's a good question. I don't know. So maybe, I mean, red is kind of a color for hell. And actually, this painting here, the first one, I didn't give a name, but this one I called the second step to hell, because it felt like a continuation of the first one. And red always has a very deep emotional kind of feeling for me. It's very raw emotions is basically what red means for me. And
very interesting. All right.
Yeah. So and then it continued with a lot of, so these are drawings, some I added, which always have these very intricate patterns, and they all kind of were created the same way. So having a blank page, starting at some point, not having any idea what to do, and then as time went by, a figure emerged. And something that is pretty obvious to me when I look at them is that they are all very lonely. So they're very solemn creatures.
That's something we can definitely talk about. I just want to make two notes first before we get into it. So what you're saying is that when you went for that trip, you did the chaotic thing, and you described it as messy, but you're sort of suggesting that like the messiness was actually a key going forward. And now we're starting to see it manifest, where you have like this is beautiful. You have this really sophisticated, detailed orientated stuff, and it's sort of the style is actually informed by that chaos that appears in that really red painting a while ago, which is fascinating when you think about it. So it's almost like when you opened up that back of the mind, the deep mind, and let the chaos out, it gave you this new way of doing things that had this supreme order to it that you didn't have before.